Welcome back to Swings, fight fans. Today I caught up with the legendary coach of Alex Volkanovski and all-round great bloke, Mr. Joe Lopez. We chat about all things Alex. We chat about CJI 2. We even chat about Gable Stevens' toes and plenty more. So make sure you like and subscribe. Give some support to the channel. Much love. Enjoy. Joe Lopez, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gents, we're here with none other than legendary coach, Mr. Joe Lopez. How's it going, Joe? Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, always a pleasure. So you just got back from CJI 2 over in Vegas. How you feeling? How's the bounce back going?
Yeah, it was unreal. Had a great time. I mean, there was ups and downs, but my overall experience of it was great.
When you say ups and downs, is that like sort of to do with the initial day of the event, with the sort of going a bit slower?
No. More just what happened at the end with the draw and everything. A lot of the people, myself included, didn't realise what the scoring criteria and how it was all supposed to work. But then once that all came out into the open, well, it all made sense. Why that the outcome came the way it did.
Well, I mean, they got plenty of attention out of the end of it. That's one good thing you can draw out of it, I guess. I will say one thing though, you don't see Craig as sort of pissed off, I guess, like as venomous as he seemed to be at the end of it. He just sort of seemed to have had enough. Was he over it by the end of it or what?
Yeah, I think he was over it probably, a month into it, a month. Yeah, just a lot of people and I understand that myself, organising events, that you put people in place to make calls, and because it's CJI, they want to talk to Craig, and Craig's got other things going on, and there's a lot of people, and everyone wants a piece of you, and yeah, I can understand that side of it.
Yeah, because you've got Wollongong laws, so you would have had to deal with similar things, and especially like with a guy like that who's basically, he's the flagship of the whole thing. His name's attached to it. Like, I'm sure everybody just wants all of his time. It'd be an absolute nightmare for him. But he had his co-conspirator with him, Mr. Adam Jones. You guys look like you had an absolute perler of a time over there, eh? Tell me about the mission down into the tunnels.
Oh yeah, that was at the end. We'd been to the after party. Well, we'd met this year. Well, he'd I didn't know at the time when I met him, but he'd made contact with Craig and wanted to film the event, and he showed up on the Friday or the Thursday night when they gave that giveaway stuff on the back of the truck. That was crazy that night.
Yeah, that got shut down and everything, didn't it?
Yeah, that many people showed. They weren't expecting. They thought maybe a couple of hundred people, but there's probably, I don't know how many people, but there was probably 500, 600 people, maybe more.
Wow.
Showed
Wow.
up. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we couldn't pull into where the spot was, so we went around behind it in one of the alleyways, and then the cops came in and shut it down. But it was fun, it was all in good fun.
Even the coppers were?
They just said, guys, you got to disperse, just move, and said, yep, no worries. But they weren't, dicks about it or anything. They just sat in their car and people just moved away slowly. It was a pretty good atmosphere. There was it was a good vibe. So
yeah, I saw a bunch of photos and that from it. It looked insane. It was just like off the back of the truck, eh?
Brett brings 100 t-shirts to, for 500 people,
Yeah. That would turn into chaos. Yeah, speaking of chaos, that Gabby and Laranjo bring a bit to it, don't they? They're colourful characters. He's gathered a real eclectic little bunch around him for this thing, eh? It works so well.
Yeah. He's a really cool guy. I got to hang out with him a bit after the show, and really nice guy. He's a long-term martial artist. His dad was a martial artist, and he's an actor now, and he does a few other things. But yeah, he's a cool guy.
Oh, is that right? He's an actor. What, in Brazil?
No, he's American.
Sure, I didn't realize that.
He's a Brazilian. His dad's African American. For the life of me, I can't remember what he is. But yeah, he's just playing a character, he's he's a cool guy,
Yeah, I always get caught out with that stuff. Oh, that makes a lot of sense why that Tom DeBlas thing happened. The Tom DeBlas thing that happened at the event. Did you see that?
I heard about it, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, about Tom DeBlas he must have been a pretty boy or something,
Yeah, I think it was pretty. I think it might have been a bit of a show anyway. And Gabby, man, look, she stole the show anyway. She seemed like she did such a good job there.
Oh mate, she's a legend. She's a really top chick, and you know, yeah, she just texted me yesterday. You know what I mean? Yeah, after I met her, she sent me a message going, "You're on my close friends list." She's really cool. She's a really good chick.
Seems like there's a lot of love too. Like she's got a lot of love, a lot of passion for the sport. Like trying to, she visibly got pretty pissed off at that end bit. Like she was firing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like the people in the back room had to hold her back because she was she wanted to go out and knock Danaher down.
Oh, speaking of which, man, how did that all, like behind the scenes, like you were right there in the thick of it all. Like what was actually going on behind there? Like how much influence does Gordon have when he wasn't even at the event? Because I mean, obviously online and that he's just running his mouth, but I mean while you're there, while it's all going down, how much of his stuff was influencing like Craig in the moment kind of thing?
Craig laughs at it. He thinks it's funny because it's promoting the event.
Exactly.
For someone who's hates it, doesn't want no part of it, he's critiquing every little mistake and everything else. And I mean, himself looks stupid, Props to his grappling ability, but as a human, he's an idiot, And Craig just plays with him. Honestly, he does not get under Craig's skin at all. Craig's just waiting for him, and he always does, to do something stupid or something dishonest, and Craig's there ready to just, chop him down.
Yeah, well, it's funny too because that Derek Moneyberg obviously tried to catch Craig out a couple of days ago with some text saying he'd throw the fight. He was going to throw it for the CJI 2 against Derek. And he thought he caught him, man. Gordon's in the messages and everything. He just doubles down. He's like, the offer's still there. I'll still throw the fight against you. What goes on now, do you reckon? Do you reckon they run it back for a CJI 3, or do you think he's had enough? Do you think he's had a gutful of it?
I think, I hung out with him the next day. He was a bit pissed off with a few things. But the way they were talking, they seemed pretty upbeat about doing another one. And people saying that Craig left and he wasn't there. Craig was out the back, and then straight after it, and I know because I was in the back with Craig, and they called them out, and they wanted the refs and Danaher's crew to have a meeting about the rules and everything else. And I mean that put a bit of a damper on the whole night, but at the end of the day, they agreed with the rules. They just agreed. What they didn't agree was that Dorian should have got a 10-8, and the refs explained the rule, why they didn't give it a 10-8. And, at the end of the day, if, the refs calls, the refs call,
Then I asked then, what was the basis of forking out the mill for him?
That was just the
Shut him up.
Yeah, and he pulled the Craig was really pissed off about that because it's like giving them money when they didn't deserve it. But the guy, like I was there again, and I think he was just doing it in his. He didn't want Craig to cop any heat, so he just threw it out to shut him up in a sense,
Yeah, got that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, then Craig was dirty about that because they didn't deserve it. You know what I mean?
And it kind of admits
yes
fault a little bit. Yeah. That's what I thought initially because when they paid the mill, I was like, oh, okay, so they were at fault then.
Yeah, well, Craig was really upset about that, and that's what I said the next day when he came down to see us. He was that was he wasn't pissed off about the event and everything else. What happens, but he was really upset about that money going to New Wave when they didn't deserve it. They got second, and they know they did. They went over it with the refs, and he thought everything had been sorted, and then it just brought another hurdle in, and then like I guess the Gable Stephen thing was a joke, First he said he had toe turf or something like that, which is fine, and to me, I'm thinking it was the promoters from his MMA match that would have said, "Hey, mate, this guy heel hooks you. You're out of your MMA match," and he wanted to pull it for that reason. And that would have been credible, but then to say that Craig was going to give him money to like fix the match, that just doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
That just showed that everything he did is a lie, and you can't. The guy's lost all his credibility, no matter what he says now, because he lied.
100%. And he looked like a fool doing it. I mean, Craig is as... Look, man, he's pretty transparent with the way that he does things, eh? And I think that's by design. So they'll find it really hard to catch him out, I reckon.
And it's not by design. It's just Craig's actually a good guy, and everything else. They've never had it 2 years ago. You think? I mean, some guys obviously got more, but the average people had to wait 2 years to go to the ADCC to maybe win 10,000, if you won your weight division,
Yeah.
Now, every competitor $10,000 plus per day and a chance to win $1 million. That's unheard of. It's put so much eyes on jiu-jitsu, whether you like it or not. These guys have never had opportunities like this, and yet what do they want to do? They want to criticize it. They want more.
But I mean, you and I can both sort of say that you see a lot of that within the MMA space as well, to be honest with you. Like you just can't make them happy, man. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what happens. They're just going to constantly be whinging about something, constantly wanting more. It's just I think it's just human nature, eh? But yeah, so anyway, I was just thinking maybe Adam Jones bringing an AJI to the new Freestyle facility when you get it in there. Adam Jones Invitational. To have it set up in the new pit you got going there.
Yeah.
Get the scrap mats out of the streets and into the new facility.
Yeah, I'd like to have Adam up here as the jiu-jitsu coach, to tell you the truth. But
is he pretty good?
Yeah, he's not bad. He's a black belt, and he's like 6'8", so he's a handful of a man. You know what I mean? Good dude too, like his brother. Really. Just hanging out with him, that week or plus that we were hanging out, we had such a good time, and he's a good person,
It seems like a legend. And that Brandon Buckingham, did you get a chance to spend much time with him? He seems like a loose character.
Well, he's a YouTuber that I was telling you about, and he's the guy I went down into the tunnels with.
Yeah. Tell me about it. What was it like, man? I love that type of stuff. Hey, what was it like down there?
Well, when we first got down there was a couple of people outside, but I think as it was just so hot in there, I think more people would probably hang out there in winter than in summer, just because as you get deeper, it gets hotter. Like at the ends of it, it's not too bad, but the deeper you go, it turns into like an oven, Well, I think the YouTube will come out soon, but Adam's got a whole lot of clips about it, because it was fun.
Is it dark?
Yeah, you can't see your hand in front.
You can't see, and is there many people? Like, is it like a druggos and all that?
Well, like I said, when we first got there was a couple of people on the outside, and they said, "Oh, look, shouldn't go down." And we said, because there's about 4 tunnels, 4 or 5. We said, we'll just go down one of these. So we just went down, and we got down about 300 or 400 meters, and then we could hear people in the background talking, and and we just
that's pretty creepy.
I honestly, I didn't faze me. And then there was just one bit where it was all, what would you say, like curtains and sheets. And then you could just see that people were, this is where, if someone's going to be living there, and there wasn't, but there was no one in that section.
Right. Oh, so they must fully clear out during summer.
No, I think maybe they came back there later at night or during.
Oh, gotcha.
What I mean, this was closer to the entrance. Like I said, as you go deeper and deeper, and then the tunnels shoot off, and then part of the tunnel had been flooded, so there was water everywhere. So we had to sort of jump a lot of places. But yeah, it was still cool. And you end up coming out at the back of some casino. I can't remember which casino.
Head straight in. Yeah, no, that sounds good, eh? I'd love to head over and catch one of the CJIs. Hopefully they're still kicking. But anyway, I wanted to obviously jump into a bit of conversation about Alex. Congratulations, obviously, on you guys retaking the crown, 2-time undisputed. Absolutely, mate, bringing it home. And then I just wanted to know sort of what's next for Alex. Like there's talk of, there's rematch narratives. You got fresh blood in the Murphy fight. For you guys, what boxes does this have to tick? Health, timing, legacy, stylistic matchup. What are you guys looking for?
Look, it's up to the UFC at the end of the day now. We thought it was going to be Murphy, but we spoke about it. If Lopez or John Silver do something spectacular, there's a good chance that they'll put Murphy to the side, or who knows. At the moment, we're in negotiations.
Can I ask one thing, right? So, this is just purely from your personal perspective. Who do you want? Not that I know UFC, it's ultimately up to them, but who do you want to see Volk fight, and why?
Well, out of them two, I'd probably just Murphy, because it's a new challenge for me. It's a new challenge. We've already, as good as Lopez is and everything else, we just fought him, but for me, just for something new and exciting and a new challenge and new things to break down and everything, it would have to be Murphy. But they're both difficult challenges. Because at first we thought it was going to be Mozart, so we started preparing for that, then that fell through. So, in a sense, still they put a name in front. I'm not,
Wherever it goes, you'll adapt when they have to. So, all right, my question on that then: what's the major differences? I mean, you've done this so many times with him at this point. What's the major differences you do between, say, a Gene Silver matchup, a Diego Lopez matchup, or a Leroy Murphy matchup? Because I'm sure that Volk's game is pretty in the bag at this point. But what are the nuances that you take between the fights, or is it just same every time? You just focus on Volk.
Yeah, we've always had that philosophy of, if they're worrying about what we're doing, they're not playing their game. So, Volk's plays a lot of feints, fakes, and it does put a lot of pressure on his opponents. And Volk's also very good at making adjustments on the fly. He realised, hey, when I go here, he's catching me. He won't go back there again. He'll look another way to get in. So with Volk, that's he's got that game. But again, we'll just break down. Hey, he does these spinning the spinning back elbows. So
Yep.
Get guys to show that look. We'll address it when we go to that side, that we don't get caught on that side with that stuff. All things like that,
So you target tendencies a bit with the opponent rather than their whole thing. So you'll go if they have a tendency to throw the overhand right, or if they have a tendency to throw that spinning elbow, you'll focus on that part of it, but the rest of it you just push Volk's game.
Yes, and and then the ground game, like Lopez had, a pretty good guard, and he's had pretty success from it. So we played a lot of, Volk getting, if he got caught in his guard, how to neutralise it all, and and that's what we do with everyone and every opponent. I sit down with all the other coaches and we break things down. The more eyes on it, the better.
Yeah, I have noticed that it's a way that you guys work down there. I mean, you're constantly bringing in fighters coming in to get looked in at your gym, which is awesome. I think there needs to be more of it. But speaking of, I don't want to jump away from Alex too much. I want to jump back there, but just speaking on that note, obviously Jack's got the fight coming up with Islam. you're probably the guy, and Volk, you got, and Craig, you're the three guys that have probably got the best understanding of Islam and how to fight that character. Are you expecting a fair bit of time with Jack before that fight, or any at all, should I say?
Look, when I spoke to Ben on Eternal last weekend. And yeah, they're hoping to come over here because we get along really well and we work well, and sometimes it's just good to, if you can, to get out of just for a week or two and go and train somewhere else because it's like a holiday, and
different bodies and that too, eh?
yeah, and if you work, Volk's really good to work with, and the boys at the gym are really good. They're all good bodies, and they're there to help you, and
it's a positive. You just have a bit of fun there too, eh? Like it's a positive gym. You know what I mean? It's not like the guys come in there and they all sort of it seems to be like an uplifting kind of vibe in there rather than like a staunch, flat out kill each other kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of banter, there's a lot of laughs, a lot of people don't understand the way we are, but, it works.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's why they seem like such a little family down there when you come down and hang out. Like they all hang out together, and we're all going to Spilt Milk at the end of the year, December. That should be fun. But actually, I just want to jump back to Alex quickly. So yesterday we had a quick chat, and you're explaining to me like the specifics of the pad work training and stuff that you do with him. I'm super interested in this type of thing because I think that pad work's a very important part of training. I've watched your style. It's very flowing, very, reactive with the fighter, and you give the fighter a lot of different looks this way. My question is, you're a BJJ background predominantly. That's like where you're known from, right? And so where did this like understanding and like the growth of your striking side of things coming from, the training side come from?
Because I started in striking first.
Oh, did you? Right. Okay.
I started in striking first. I've worked at a lot of, boxing gyms and kickboxing, and I've had plenty of my own gyms and plenty of other fighters. I've trained guys from, a world champion kickboxer. So I've had success in training strikers, from back in the day.
You're awesome. Yeah, you can definitely tell the way that you flow with the guys. What's the premise for your, do you think with the striking side of things coming into Volk's next fight, do you think it's, bring Brad back in, bring those guys back in to help him, or, more CKB bodies? What's the plan?
Look, it'll depend on who it is. And, when that time comes, I will start looking for, the right training partners, last time, because Diego's pretty tall, and at this stage, and predominantly, I mean, he's got really good BJJ, but he's not like a wrestling type take you down. He's more, of an opportunistic takedown guy, but he's good on the ground when he gets there, So again, you just need to get guys that can show that look. Last time we brought in a couple of boys from Bang Tao, and they worked out really good.
And that just reminds me. So recently I saw Volk mention that he has like a bit of an issue with Colby Covington. Was that happen somewhere with you along the line? Because you don't often see Volk have such like, straight up aggro towards a person. He's usually a very cool, calm, collected kind of dude, but he seems quite outspoken. Is there anything behind any anecdotes behind the scenes? What's going on? What's set him off?
Did have one. I'm just trying to think which UFC, when we were on the same card as Colby, and we went and we had like a meet and greet, and but he laughed about it. He said something about stuff geeks or something, and Alex went, "Well, I'm a geek, but sort of cut." And Colby actually laughed when he said it, because it was funny,
Just winded him up.
Yeah, no, but it was just funny, like Volk it was a good one-liner and it cut him off, but he laughed about it,
Yeah, I was just interested, eh? He's just not the guy that usually gets so revved up about something, and he had a bit to say about him the other day. But I'm sure a few people have had some, interesting interactions with Colby over the years by the sounds of it.
Well, look, like I say to people, I've been on a few shows when he's there. And look, there is usually beefs between one fighter or another, but normally people can work it out. He normally has to stay in a different hotel. When he has to do media, we all walk through one door. He has to walk through a completely different door to everyone else, and he's got 5 or 6 security guards with him. Yeah, everywhere he goes, he can't be.
Pain in the ass.
Well, it is, and it's something he's brought on himself, and he keeps doubling down on it. So if you want to be like that and that's the life you want to choose, well, good luck to you,
Yeah, you'll fade off into obscurity like you seem to be doing at the moment.
You always have to be looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you go out shopping or anything and, some guy's not going to put some heat on you, or say something to you, Character he's playing, some people don't see it as a character. Some people take it as real,
So many people do. That's the thing. I mean, I'd say most people do with him because you don't get to see much of the opposing side of him. It's mainly all that. So where's your reference point? You know what I mean? Anyway, enough of that, bonehead. But so one thing I'm super interested with you, man, is and this is something I'm interested across the board. I've talked to some of the other fighters about it, but you particularly being the guy that's over the years in and out of camps with these guys, bringing up fighters, having, I'm sure, amazing prospects fall off and guys you didn't think were going to do great end up doing amazingly. My question is, when you look back, are there specific traits, man, that make that you find run through all the champion level guys? Like, are there certain things that, say, when you're looking at a young prospect that you try to identify out of the gate that you've learned over time is a must?
I think they've got to have that consistency and wanting to get better, and a lot. Yeah, I'll use Colby as an example because he's fighting, but Colby's hurt and he gets injured. He still comes to the gym every day. He'll sit there and he'll stretch. He'll do something. He'll watch the lesson, but he doesn't sit at home or he doesn't do anything. He just comes back to the gym because he wants to get better.
He seems like a real professional. He seems like he treats, because it's a funny thing. People haven't really started identifying MMA fighters as high level athletes yet. I mean, there's some people are, but still a lot of people see them as cage fighters. But the reality is like, you see guys like Colby. I mean, I had a good conversation with John O'Mcalef down at Hex the other weekend, and he's the same. He seems very professional when you talk to him. It's like you're talking to, like a world-class athlete in any of the other sports that are more recognized. So yeah, it's, that seems like something that you definitely have to have. What about things like, do you think that a chin, like the chin, endurance, those types of metrics? I mean, we saw Colby have some issues with the strength side of things, and actually George Mango's had some issues with his recent opponent. And the strength stuff, I mean, that's obviously something you've been tackling with Colby recently. He looks like he's actually got quite a bit bigger, like his body size. So what are there any like sort of traits you think identify, potential champions as they're coming up?
Oh, look, all those things are going to matter, If you haven't got a chin and you got the best in the world, as soon as you get hit, you're going to go down. So you need to tick all the boxes, and that's why a lot of guys might tick 3 or 4 out of the 5 boxes, but as soon as they get into that top 5, top 10, they get exposed. You'll see guys, and I mean, no disrespect to the fighting nerds, they did great, but you can see now that they're coming into the top 5s, the whole lot of them got exposed. They're not ready for that side of them. That top 5, they're special.
Yes, I agree. And even I feel like in a couple of the divisions, Volks, for example, some of those super dynamic divisions, I reckon even the jump from the 5 to the top 3 is even another big jump. Like there's usually that top 3 that's even further away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in some, sometimes, in the division that can happen, for, especially when there was the Max and Alex were there, like everyone below them really, it was just them two really, them in that top 10 wasn't going to beat, you know what I mean? And we credit Volk's beat him 3 times.
Oh, and the third one will go down as one of the, greatest performance in championship history, man. That was a crazy fight. Speaking of upcoming prospects and stuff, like just to segue into something else, you got some pretty solid looking young killers coming up in your camp. I've had the opportunity to watch them spar and train in there lately. Just off the top of my head, the two Zanes, I've spoken about them before. Like they look like great young fighters. So the future looks pretty strong with Freestyle down there. Is there any other names we should be looking at?
Well, Kasib, he gets underlooked a lot. He's a gun. And people don't realise how much experience that young kid's got. And he's still in his early 20s. Yeah, so he's one. He's like a little mini Volk. So and he's still young. So he's a big one. Amina, and
you got Lockjaw chasing another title, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's he was going to retire, but all of a sudden, he's back. So I don't know.
I've heard there might be talks of Martinez.
I think they're saying something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a hectic fight. He's a strong dude. I must admit though, I was pretty stoked for him to get that win over Taser. Taser's a pretty difficult guy, especially like over a 5-round fight. I mean, over a full fight, like he can really start to ramp it up at the back end. So it was good to see Lockjaw secure that one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty happy to get that win.
Yeah, I think Lockjaw's just got to learn to finish. He gets the great positions, he gets great control, but then, we've been working on these things, but he's just doesn't get that finish.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's a hard thing. And what about? I've wanted to ask you this for a little while now because, like you see, you guys get some. You'd have some interesting sorts come through, especially with like MMA gyms and that. You would have, you got freestyle fighting written on yours. Like I can just imagine some of the creatures you've had come through your doors over the years. Is there any stories you got, like some guys coming in challenging you? Have you had anything like that happen in freestyle gym?
Look, I've been really lucky, but for a while there, we just ended up attracting all these talking crazy guys. Like one guy, he came in and he wanted to meet Alex, which a lot of people do, and Alex is the most easiest going guy, but this guy said, he could see numbers and he could see death coming and all this sort of stuff. And he's going, Alex, don't worry, I'm going to save you. And Alex went in to get...
Oh, seeing death coming for Alex.
Yeah, no, like you could see death coming into the world, but he was there to protect the world. Like he was, like obviously mentally ill.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on, but then, Tara, I think, come and grabbed me and said, that's that guy. So I tried to get Alex out of there, and, saying, hey, someone's on the phone for you. And
scoot out the back door. Yeah, I can imagine that stuff would go on a bit with the gyms, though. All right, I've got a question here for you. It's a bit of a mouthful, though, so I'm just going to read it straight from here, all right? So bear with me. Rightos. You've seen it all in the MMA scene, Joe. You've been involved in everything from the Ultimate Fighter to seeing your man become a 2-time undisputed, through the fire and brimstone too. But what moment sticks out in your mind? And I don't necessarily mean like crowning glory moments. I mean like, because they're obvious, right? They're the big moments. I'm talking like for you, for Joe, like what stands out over the years? Like, is it, it could be like a view somewhere or a private moment with Kel and Taj or a private moment with you and Volk, or is there some moment over all the stuff that you've gone through in this industry that stands out?
Probably after we beat Chad Mendes, and it wasn't until we were picking our bags up at Sydney Airport, I looked at Volk and I went, wow, we just beat Chad Mendes,
That's huge.
At that stage there, we were still pretty green in the UFC, and they didn't expect us to win, and
huge name at the time too, Mendes.
yeah, and I've always been a fan of the sport, so I was a big fan of his too. So to beat him, and then he said some nice words to us afterwards, and yeah, that was probably, as far as the UFC and that goes, that was probably, you know pretty magical. And then Volk winning against his last fight against Lopez, where everyone doubted him. No one expected him to win. Volk just done what he always does and came through and beat, proved everybody wrong and proved why he is the champ. That was that one more because I know it meant a lot to Volk. You know what I mean? Because for how strong in his mind, when everyone's doubting you, and you must end up having some self doubt yourself. You read these things. You're over 35. You're this. You're this. You're that. And then to overcome it and beat, a young hot prospect like, Diego Lopez, that was pretty good too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was in Miami. I was spewing. I didn't get to watch it, but yeah, no, that would have been such an incredible moment for the Lottiers too. Like, especially on hostile foreign. I mean, it's never hostile with Volk, but foreign territory. It was it was a big thing too to bring the belt back as well, back to Oz. That would have been an amazing moment. So I'll take the opportunity though. They both sound like incredible moments for you. But I will take this opportunity. What about the flip side? Like, what about moments that have stood out to you over the time that, sort of blew you out, stood out to you as moments that you weren't expecting on a negative side of things? Like,
look, not really. It's always been positive. I always go to the fights with a real positive attitude, and no matter what happens, I just go there to, enjoy the time and enjoy the moment, and because we're really lucky what we're doing, and honestly, obviously there's been things that piss me off and anything, but nothing's really. I'm just thinking of the positive things that we've done. I never really dwell on the bad stuff, to tell you the truth. So I really, off the top of my head, I can't think of a bad thing.
That's perfect, really. That's the whole question was what comes to mind. So if nothing comes to mind, that's perfect.
I've got one for you, Sonny.
Hit me.
The second Max fight, and I can't remember the exact time, but I think we had to be, I think it was either 3 or 4 o'clock. We were, scheduled to get picked up and taken to the arena, and we were fighting at 5. So we changed our whole schedule where Volk was going to bed around 4 or 5. He had his meals and that, so we'd wake up at different times. And at about 11 o'clock that night, the night before the fight, USADA comes in and wants to take a sample off Volk. And I lost it. Obviously, Volk was asleep, and so I had to wake him, and then he couldn't piss, so he had to drink some water. And by the time he did, it was like midnight. And like I said, I think the alarm was like 3:30. He started to panic, so he took a melatonin. And then all morning he was just going, I feel so tired, I feel so groggy, And to me, that was pretty. I think that they were trying to.
I was going to ask that.
I was going, can we go down and test Max now, And I was adamant, and they go, no, we're not going to test him. Someone else is. And I said, well, are they testing him now? I want to make sure that if we're getting woken up, he's getting woken up, but I didn't.
Game of millimeters, eh?
Yeah, but that's probably the worst thing that's ever happened.
That's not too bad. I mean, that's an average thing, and I can imagine in the moment and looking back, it would have felt very much like after the first Max loss that they were doing that on purpose. 100%. 100%. Yeah, well, that's good, man. I'm very happy to hear that nothing jumps out at you other than that. That's pretty good. Well, I do want to just quickly jump into this. So we've got Colby back. He's at UFC Perth. I'm sure something you guys are super excited for. We've got Jamie Mullarkey sharing the card with him. We've got him fighting Bedoya. Colby's fighting Masasa. This looks like the best possible this looks like everything's lined up perfectly for them to put on the best performances. I mean, they're both on the same card together, both, going after the same thing, coming off losses, both of them, looking for a win, both of them. So do you reckon this is the best version of these two guys we're going to see in UFC Perth? Because it feels like it's lining up for that.
Yeah. The boys have been putting in solid camps. Apart from the minor niggles you get, the boys have been, relatively, injury free the whole camp. So, and they've trained hard. Colby's, his striking is, if he believes in his striking, he's going to, and he does what he's been doing. He's going to look really, really good. Colby's, I think it's more of a mental thing with Colby. But now hopefully he can do his thing.
Yeah, I've tried. Not tried. I have explained to a few friends of mine just how impressive he is. Like, to see him when he's really in his flow state, like just relaxed and natural in the gym with you guys, like especially him and Case and him and Mullarkey working together. It's a different beast, man. So I hope he can line all that up on the night, because I think he'll mow through Masasa. Speaking of like the coming off losses, two guys, very big fights mentally for both of these guys, Mullarkey and Colby. What were the change ups that you made coming into this one? Especially for Colby. I mean, mainly for Colby. After the Topuria fire, what were the main change ups you made? Because him sort of getting just control wrestled in that last round. Obviously, strength came into it a bit, so he's obviously been working on his strength a bit since then. Were there any mindset things you worked with him on?
We've been doing a lot more, bag and pad work. We've really set that up as a big part of the training camp now, and I've seen the results already. His striking is a lot better. He's always had the technique, but now I think he's got, with the pad work and that, he can reset himself a lot better, and he's a lot better balanced.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. And then what about Mullarkey? How's Mullarkey looking? Has he done much? Has he gone up and done anything with Ross, or has Ross come down with you guys at all?
Ross has been coming down. Jamie's been going up, here and there. But I think Jamie's wrestling. He's how can I say? He's never really utilised it, and I think if he gets hold of this guy, his wrestling is going to play a big part. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's looking for that too. And just you personally, what about you? When you've got these two guys in your camp, both like Colby's like a son to you. So it's, when you look at him coming up to this massive fight in UFC Perth, like, you've been through this, as I said before, a million times, but do you still get like nervous? Do you get like, what's the feelings that you get coming in with, say, Colby in his current situation?
I never get nervous, never, from the beginning. Well, I'm more nervous of being, at the beginning, more of being put on show and stuff. But me, as far as the nerves go with the fighters, I never. Maybe I'm weird, but I don't.
Nah. What about worry? Is there any worry for him?
If the guys don't put in the work, I usually don't show up for their fights. But I'm never worried about them, because these guys have put the work in, and I know that's the best version of themselves at that given time. So I never worry. And I don't know, it's because of the work I did for such a long time. Where I was always in a lot of stressful situations, and some, when you are in those situations, someone's got to take control, and you got to think opposite to whichever way everybody else is thinking.
The natural instinct, yeah, you got to go against it, eh?
People that run away from the fire, and there's people that run to the fire. And if you're a firefighter and you've trained that's what you do. And like I said, I've been around, not only violent, but horrific accidents, and seen a lot of people get stabbed and slashed, and sometimes, yeah, everyone goes into a panic. I just never did, I just had to take control of the situation, that's just the way I did it.
Seems like you really found your calling in life, didn't you, Joe? One of the lucky ones to actually find their calling.
Yeah, it must be, I don't know.
So, what about UFC Perth? I mean, completely stacked with Anzac fighters from top to bottom. Some of your sister gym CKB's guys are on that card as well. You got any ideas? Any picks we should be looking for? Because you got Carlos Ulberg, Jimmy Crutes fighting. I know you guys are pretty close with Jimmy Crute.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty close. Not with all of them, but I'm pretty good friends with Carlos, Jimmy, obviously. All top guys, top fighters. Navajo. Who else is on the card? I've spent time with all those guys. All terrific. Can't think who else is on the card. I've not.
We've got Tom Nolan, Cam Rouston, Jono McAuliffe, Jake Matthews.
Spent a bit of time with Jake and Cam. Jono, terrific guy. Who was the Tom Nolan, terrific guy again. Every time I meet him, always so respectful. Look, all the Aussie guys are. At this point anyway, they're all really respectful, good guys, and I can't understand when people don't back the Aussies. It just blows me out. They're from different camps and whatever. For me, unless we're fighting the guy, and then even at the end, I'm going to shake hands and still be friends with him. Man, we're a small nation. We're doing such a great thing, and we honestly should be sticking together more and promoting ourselves more.
I could not agree more with that, Joe. I feel like there's already so many things stacked against you guys down here. Well, us down here in this part of the world. I mean, you're so isolated, the time zones. You've got such a small population. I think that with all of those things combined, one thing that Jamie Mullarkey was talking to, which I'd never taken into account for, is like gyms are like restricted as to how many bodies in weight divisions, like the same weight divisions are at. It's all good to have other good fighters in the gym, but how many are other light heavyweights, or how many are other heavyweights, or you know what I mean? So it does, for me, when I hear that, I'm like, everybody in Australia to make us be a powerhouse against the rest of the world, which we already are. But to continue that, I just would have thought that just an open dialogue between the main gyms, sending the bodies across when they need it, like you've got with CKB and obviously some of the other gyms. I just think that everybody should be working under that methodology. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look. Sometimes it is hard because especially as you got your up and coming guys, and you got another gym and they've got the up and coming guys and they spar a lot, but then that they're going to have to fight. So sometimes it can become awkward in that sense. I've had, say a good example, the Lions Den guys, I've had a great relationship with those guys for years. They come down and spar. Ross's guys, so many gyms.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and Jack, like you guys cross all that stuff up, and I think doing that just gets to the transfer of knowledge becomes a lot more. And obviously you got Volk there too, and seeing how he operates in there with the way he freely trades knowledge in there too. It would be great for guys all over Australia to come to your gym. Speaking of your gym, the upgrade's coming. I got the chance to walk through there with you, Volk and Jake, the other day. We got to have a look at the pit. Mate, the place looks incredible. You're staffing. Hey, you're going to have to double your staff to keep the place running.
No, I can do it all.
Yeah. Actually, before you jump in, I want to say something. How do you do it all, though? Like, and that's not a bullshit question. I was thinking before, you're constantly in camp. Constant. Like, you must have been probably in camp across all your fighters non-stop for how many years? And then you got your security business, the running of Freestyle. Like, I honestly, and the travel involved with your marquee fighters, like, I just don't understand how the fuck you do it, to be honest, Joe. Like, I really don't understand. And now, I don't know how you're going to be able to run this thing on your own.
I always got a way of working things out. Look, I'm very good at allocating, and you just got to get, make sure that you get the right people. And I'm lucky that I have got good people around me, but, as I always say, if you good people attract better people, and yeah, and
It's very true.
we've got a really good team, and, everyone treats it like it's their own. And yeah, you felt it's a good atmosphere, and that's something that goes from across the board, and people, they blow out that, Alex is there. Alex will walk in and he'll shake everybody's hand, and they just blow out. He's the world champion. But Alex has been like that since the first day he walked into the gym, and that's what it is. That same way we've trained from the beginning hasn't changed.
Grassroots.
And it just feeds along. Honestly, there's been heaps of people here that they just don't fit into the way we do things.
For sure. That would happen a bit, right? And how do they, what do they just naturally move away? They just naturally step away.
100%. Look, we do a lot of people. It's not our culture. It's more the training. That they've got to be very committed to the training, because the boys train hard, and girls, they train very hard, and they're going to be committed to that training. And they've got to improve. I write things down. Like, everybody's got to get better at something. And that's my job. Like, we've got our certain drills. When they get tired, that's when they're going to expose themselves, where I can see where they're strong and where they're weak, and what we need to work on, and what we need to improve on.
Yeah, well, I think that new gym looks like you'll be able to get a lot of oversight. Will you have the place, like, you'll have the pit like cameraed up, won't you? So you can use it for basically going back and checking technique, doing like.
Yes and no, I guess, because security cameras don't work like a normal camera, if that makes sense. You do get it, but the frames are all, it's shot in 32 with 32 per, what is it, frames per second, which is real speed. But the way they shoot it, it's sort of frames. So if you are going to catch somebody stealing, you want to get a frame shot of their face for that second, if that makes sense. So
Got you. Yes, that does make sense. Yeah.
the cameras are a little bit different to, say, a GoPro or a video camera or a pro camera. They shoot the, like, if I watch the video, you can see it, but you always can tell what's a security video and what's a normal video because of the way it's shot. Security ones are always like framed up, so you can get a still of somebody's face.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So I just wanted to point out for people at home when watching this, the new facility, the new Freestyle Performance Institute. That's the name, right?
Yeah, Performance Center.
It's got a pit like the CJI, if you weren't aware, like the CJI has, and the new UFC BJJ tournaments are using a similar setup. They've got a big, I was able to go and have a look, already got a huge pit set up in the new facility, and it looks amazing. So with a disco ball still hanging over the top. So we're getting ready to disco, ladies and gents. When do you reckon, have we got a time frame? How's it all coming along?
Look, I've been, like with everything, there's delays, and it's not in the structural side. It's just, anyway.
Has the roof turned up yet?
The roof's done, all that's done. Like I said, the interior, but it's not, honestly, if, now it's just waiting on the mats and the gym equipment, and it's just been, it was supposed to be done, finalised 3 or 4 weeks ago, but every week somebody makes a change, and every week it's delayed. It's an extra week that we don't open, But look, I'm not, I had it for October, because, and I was rushing it, but now it's probably going to be November, maybe December. I don't know. It's all going to depend on, like I said, getting that equipment in.
Yeah, well, good things come to those who wait, and this seems like it's going to be an amazing facility. Can I ask one question? Has the mural been done yet?
Yeah. We're still waiting on someone to do it, I think.
Do you know who's going to do it?
No, I think we were going to free tender, you know, the Lopez tender. It's got to be free.
The freebies, eh?
A few people have offered to do something in the past at our old place. And then when the new place came up, a few people had offered. So now it's just a matter of getting somebody there that can do it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to see it. It'll be great. It's going to be interesting having a 30-foot version of yourself on the side of the building every time you turn up.
Be me, it's Volk.
Oh, that's right. Volk, eh? You should get the one with you over his shoulder. You know the one I'm talking about, eh?
No.
He's got the belt and you're over his shoulder.
We had a few of the boys came down yesterday to have a look at the progress, and they were saying that they were going, "Nah, you got to be on it as well."
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be on there, but it'll be like, well, where's Wally? You know, you got to find in the mural.
So, I wanted to ask, right? I feel like, I don't know, with all the stuff, especially like now with Jack Della and Volk both holding belts, we're in this like potentially golden era coming in on the Australian MMA scene. I was wondering if you were to be given ownership, right? If I was to, like, all things perfect and I was able to just hand over all the ownership for all of Australian MMA, what would be the thing that you would change? And like, okay, I'll give you my thing just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. For me, I would try and get rid of Eternal and Hex having so much drama between them, whatever the reasoning between, and maybe look at doing things like cross promotional matchups between champions, having maybe some, what do they call them, round robin events based on the two different things. It's just stuff like that gives you two different platforms. I was wondering, if you were in charge, what would be the things that you changed to help us usher into this, you know, new era or you know, larger viewer era of Australian MMA?
And I know it's going to be hard. It'd be good if the guys could get paid a little bit better. You know what I mean? That guys on a regional scene could, you know, make it a little bit more professional, you know, and then the UFC, you know. I know it's so hard because I do my own promotions and there's not enough money there. But, you know, if you could get some of the NRL money or something like that where people could pay these guys fighters, then you'd be able to do a lot more with it, you know. You know, as far as round robins, they're so great in principle, but they never work because people get hurt and then who do you put in? The only time the round robins work, you've got to do it all in one night, I think.
Gotcha, yeah. Because that happened with Glory recently, I do remember. Their round robin just got mucked about. It was set over a year.
Yeah, and it's always going to happen. Now, the only other way around that is you have a round robin, but you have two other guys that are alternates, and they've got to fight as well. And if someone gets hurt, one of them can jump in, or you've got to have somebody there that's got to be able to jump in if someone gets hurt. Because in everyone that I've seen, it's just so hard for it to work out, you know. Because again, it's not even the athlete's fault, you know, because they train so hard. It's a fine line between training to the point or training and you get hurt, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big part of it, eh? The overtraining. You've been around, like, taking that, like, your understanding of the regional scenes around the places you've been around the world, you know, America. I don't know what other spots. I'm sure, like, you got a glimpse of it in China when you've been there, Indo when you've been there, these places, Thailand. What's the feel like? Do you reckon we're pretty underappreciated, the regional scene in Australia on the world stage, considering the levels of fighter that are reaching the top end? Like, I mean, Kasib, for example, being relatively unknown and you know, being the potential next Volk.
Yeah. Look, we just haven't got the numbers, you know. That's why, you know, we had to go to Bali, you know. Honestly, I couldn't get Kasib matched up for nearly a year when he came to me. It was so hard. You know, it was just lucky that, you know, I'm pretty good friends with the guys from Bali MMA, and, you know, I knew they were doing shows and they went out of their way to get someone to match. You know, and people to say that we go there to fight bums, they're just so uneducated, because I can show you the list of opponents that we have said yes to and they've said no to. And obviously, the guys that usually say yes to the guys from, the Philippines or Indonesia, where they haven't, $500 or $1,000 to them is like $10,000 to us.
Yes. That's it, eh?
There's a lot of Eastern Bloc
Yeah.
country guys. There's a lot of guys from all over the world training at the bar. Bali's got a big MMA scene, but none of the guys, foreigners or anybody, wanted to fight him. I couldn't get anybody in New Zealand to fight him. I can't get. Look, at one stage there when Hex did the New Zealand show, I said to the promoter, "We don't want the purse, so get whoever you're going to pay the other guy his purse, and I'll even get." I was chasing, a couple of sponsors to throw in a couple of more grand to get K-Sib a fight there. So we were up in like 5 or 6 grand
For an opponent.
Yes. We didn't want anything. We were going to give that away. They could not get anyone. I was even Eugene going, Eugene, there's got to be a Kiwi registered guy out there that can, fight him. He goes, good luck. Yeah.
You're joking.
No, it was so hard.
What a nightmare. But I mean, you managed to get Amina fights over in UAE, so you can get fights anywhere really, and you're still struggling to get in fights. That's scary, eh?
Yeah, but look, UAE, it's obviously in the, what do you call it, in the Middle East, and she's Middle Eastern descent, so they're going to give her, they're giving her a little bit of, and girls that there's harder to find girls, match girls, because I can't. That's the other girl, gays. I've got gays training with us, and she's a beast, but I cannot match her. I think no one will fight gays.
She did well over at the 1 minute scraps.
Yeah, exactly. She's a so look, now we might have an opponent, but it's in America. So we're just trying to see if we can match her on what's that one with the V? The female MMA in America. There's some girl said she'll fight her, so now we're in a bit of negotiations. But it'll be that we'll have to fly ourselves over and probably do it for nothing. But the girl needs to fight.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh? That's crazy. And look, I've got a question here. It just ties on to what we were just talking about before, but end into that really. Do you think the money's far away from getting into the regional scene? Like, this is what I've written, right? Because we were just talking about it. Do you think money is far away from coming into the regional scene, and how much of a benefit will that be for guys knocking on the door of the big show? I mean, we already just spoke about that. I then said you've got Vex, all these guys vying at the table with Freestyle. You got Vex PRP, Streedex, you got Alione, plus then you got Volk and Izzy having Gage. There's obviously big brands, around the sport. How long do you reckon we start to see not just brands who are set on their own thing, but corporate come in, like you were talking about with like NRL money and that? Do you think it's a broadcasting thing, or do you think it's corporate money coming in for marketing side of things, sponsorships and stuff?
It's got to be corporate. The big end of town's got to come in and want to. It's always had such a bad stigma. Boxing obviously gets a lot more coverage and the top end of money that MMA, but MMA is building, like they say, it's the fastest building sport. Well, it is. And I mean, you just have to watch the UFC and then you go and watch the
Canelo Crawford, yeah.
Unless you're invested in the fighters or you know who they are, a lot of the fights, for me anyway, I was such a big fan of it all. It's just so one-dimensional, and I, especially after watching MMA, and then you go watch that, it just, it's not.
I'm a boxing, like big time boxing fan, and even it's very hard. It's almost like Dana did it by design, eh? It's hard to watch an exciting card like that UFC card and then go into the Canelo Crawford thing. Don't get me wrong, like I watch Canelo Crawford and it's a masterclass. Crawford's catch and throw ability, like the whole thing was amazing to watch. But for the average punter handing over their hard-earned cash, I can tell you right now they'll be choosing the UFC's excitement over the boxing any day of the week. like in the future, once they all get their head around it, I mean, like obviously now, most of those big number countries like Russia and Mexico and those countries, they put big numbers on the board for the boxing, I think.
Yeah. And I think, the UFC and that, I think they even said, I think, pull more numbers than they did, but again, it's more just the spectacle of it all, like I said, I was a huge fan and would look forward to it. And like now, unless I've got a vested interest or I know the fighter, and I find it so one dimensional. Oh, look, you still got guys out there, up and comers, and you can really appreciate your skill. But then a lot of the ones that, the 5 rounders and all that, where they just, tapping along and not doing much, you just go, wow, I'm going to sleep.
Man, some of that money, $150 million for Canelo sounds like, and that's USD, like that's outrageous.
They had that there. They said that fight was worth 150, and they said the whole UFC whole roster last year was under that. So that goes to show the difference,
100%. Just touching on the traveling thing back and forth overseas and us being so far away in Australia, do you think it's a benefit when we have an Oz card to be an Oz trainer, Oz fighter, Oz coach? Like, do you think that is one of the small kickbacks we do get from being an isolated country so far away, is when they do come here, it's we get a pretty strong home field advantage?
Yes and no. I honestly prefer to fight away. It's just less distractions, for me as a coach and for my fighters. When we fight so close to home, and it's nothing malice or anything, but you've got a lot of people, friends, fans, everybody wanting a piece of you that week, and yeah, they don't realise that you've got a job to do and you can't give a piece of yourself that week. That piece, you've got to wait for that, Sunday in Australia, to give it. You really have to stay, disciplined and stay in focus. Because people want to take you out to dinner and people want to do this, people want to do that, but you just got to, stick to the plan.
Yeah, that would definitely be a lot heavier at home. And so who's going over for the crew over to Perth? I know you've got Volk and Casey in the corner for Colby. Who's going in the corner? Is it you and Ross for Mullarkey?
Yeah, probably Noah, I'd say.
Okay, cool. So, and what about the rest of the crew? How many of you are heading over? Is it going to be a fair bit of the team?
No, I think it's just us, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. Is Taj going over with you?
Yeah.
That's another thing I did want to touch on. Must be pretty, you must be pretty happy, man, to have your young bloke having such, like a love of the game running through his veins, man. It must be a good thing to know that you're passing on a fair bit of legacy to that young man, and he seems to be picking up the mantle pretty well. So when are we going to start seeing a bit of shine go Taj's way?
He's got a lot of talent in there. He's just lazy, so he's just decides that he's going to get off his ass, and he trains, but he needs to, if he wants to get to that next level, he's got to get off his ass and do that little bit more, not be a casual.
Yeah. Do you see his future as a fighter or similar to how you've done it?
I don't care.
He's got a mind for it. Like, I've had a bunch of convos with him. He's, for his age, man, his understanding of the sport's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But he's always been gifted that way, whether it'd be basketball, whether he's doing BJJ or his UFC. Once he gets into it, he really studies it, and he's got a good memory, and he just remembers everything, So he's very clever in that way, He's not real good at school, but he's very good at those things,
Yeah, school ain't for all of us. I wasn't great at school either. Look at me now. No, but well, with everything else you got happening, you've got a million things you're juggling at the moment, and And I've been hearing a few rumors that you might be looking at starting doing your own headgear for fighting. What's the go there?
Yeah. Something I've been, like I said, everything just came at once. I'm building a new website, which I don't want to say too much about, but it's fight related. Again, that's been a plan that's I've been working on for a while, and I've got somebody now jumped on board, and yeah, it's slowly ticking away. But then all of a sudden, the headgear I've been working on, the final prototype is finished. Yeah, I'm getting them made, and yes,
And this is a sparring headgear, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Just for what trauma prevention and stuff like that, is it?
yeah, look, we never used to wear headgear, but guys started getting cuts, especially Alex. Earlier on, he developed a couple of cuts, during sparring. It's more head clashing than anything, while they're wrestling.
Yeah.
So the big bulky headgear is more to protect you there, but I don't think it really protects your head. In fact, you've got these side bits here, and you think you're moving here, but the glove hits the side of the pad, and it sort of gives you a bit of whiplash sometimes because you're expecting your head to get out of the way, but it's hitting the headgear, and because you're not expecting to get hit, you're a bit relaxed, and your head gets whipped back. I know the boys complain about that heaps of time. Then it's the vision thing. It's harder to see with mine because it sits on your face. You've got really good vision, and like I said, for me, it's more not to design the impact of punches. It's more to stop the head,
I get you, yeah.
and
And then the cuts, yeah.
yeah, just stop cuts. And
Yeah.
because it sticks to your head, you can sit it lower over the bottom of your eye, or not the bottom of your eyebrows. So you've got that little bit of protection there because, again, once they get cut and they calcify, they just open up so much easier each time.
And it seems to be the most common spot, doesn't it? The eyebrows, that ridge along there. Yeah, well, I'm excited to see that. I have noticed the guys down in there they use the real thin ones, and that makes perfect sense, man. Like having that, where if you were to have that like protruding out on the side and then getting clipped when you're slipping, like I can understand how much that would sort of when we're talking at your level, at your guys' level, when it is that game of millimeters, those things do come into play, eh? So over slipping, things like that, and like you said, the jolt to the head, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. What kind of time frame do you reckon it'll be before we can start seeing them hit the shelves?
I think they've put an order in, so they shouldn't be too long.
Oh, wicked, sick! I'll jump on for sure. Yeah, cool, man. Well, I would just like to say, you've got a myriad of things going on at the moment. You've got the guys going over to UFC Perth. You've got the GOAT, Alex Volkanovski. You're getting him ready, for his upcoming title defense. You've got, your mates in Jack Della going into one of the biggest fights in Australian history. Thanks so much for taking the time out in fight week to stop by and having a chat with me. And I hope everything goes well over in Perth. And one last thing, thanks for welcoming you, Taj and Kel, welcoming me so warmly down to Freestyle. It's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Good people are always welcome out the gym, you know that.
No, I appreciate that, Joe. You're a legend, man. And like I said, good luck with everything, and we'll get back on you soon, probably after it all.
Sure, Sonny.
Sounds good, mate.
Okay. Thanks, Sonny.
Awesome, Joe. Take it easy.
You too, bro.